left to the height.
Ooh, that's going to be fun. Nash Vegas tomorrow morning. All right, what about last night as we kicked off Week 8? The Chargers coming into this matchup having lost 3 of their last 4 games and making a statement against the Vikings. First drive of the game, Justin Herbert connecting with a Rondé Gadsden on a 13-yard pass, and then finding the rookie tight end again on a 3rd goal on the 8th zone. In his last 4 games, it's a 21-3 ball game. And now the Chargers are up 24-10.
Well done, well done. Give each other a high five. I got one question for you. Who could possibly have it better than us? Nobody.
It's just frustrating, just going out there and performing the way we've been performing and not putting up points and not, hitting stops. That's all a team effort, and we're just not doing enough.
Man, Dan, I mean, the Vikings were really disappointing on both sides of the ball. They're at 3-4. They're in the bottom of the NFC North. How do you view this loss in particular?
I think this is the most disappointing roster in football right now. This is an organization that this offseason spent the second most of free agent money in the NFL. And this was a roster that was built in many of our eyes to be like quarterback independent. And one, this offensive line cannot protect on a consistent basis at all. The interior of their offensive line is very poor. 2, this run defense has been ran all over this season, all over this year. And it happened again last night. The Chargers came out and just like, here comes 3 tight ends run game. Stop it. I'm shocked because I honestly thought that this team was built to say, if you just had average quarterback play, you're an NFC championship contender. Anybody that wants to tell me Carson Wentz is the issue right now in Minnesota, we can have a conversation and I'll tell you you're out of your mind. The quarterback is not the problem in Minnesota right now. J.J. McCarthy's not going to save them. Carson Wentz certainly is not going to save them. This roster is unbelievably disappointing right now.
Well, we've been for a few weeks having a conversation, and I've been on, keep Carson Wentz in that spot. And to your point, Dan, you can see some of the things happening with Carson Wentz that's not on him. But ultimately, this has put them back into what I believe the J.J. McCarthy, when he's back and healthy, get him going, right? Because I was thinking that this season was going to lead to them having some success, and you would have to think about, if we want to take Carson Wentz out of the situation, the way this team has been playing as a whole. But let me challenge everybody on this as well, and meaning D.O. follow along. This Brian Flores defense is pressure-based. It's hard to do that. I'm telling y'all, as a former defensive player in this league for a long time, it's hard to do that when your offense can't move the football, can't sustain. They needed to become explosive, and it laid into the hands of what Minnesota wanted to do defensively. But now when you're calling plays like last night as Greg Roman was, and you don't have to worry about if the offense is going to be explosive or if they can put up points, now you use the entire toolbox. And that is what I think is happening to this defense. So for all of our fans that watch NFL Live, the people that hear us talk about football, that is how offense directly impacts defense and how you go about playing it. And it works that way on both sides of the floor. You cannot be a pressure-based team when your offense is not putting up points. It puts you in such a bad way as a defense to give up 2 or 3 explosive plays, and the game may be over.
This is what I'll give you. They've become less aggressive on early downs offensively. I will give you that. They signed 4 dudes to huge contracts, and the interior of their offensive line and the interior of their defensive line. And right now, none of them are playing good enough.
Yeah, they have those great receivers. Carson Wentz just not decisive in any way. So, Mina, I thought of you. Wait, are we still talking about this, or Mina, can we move to the Chargers? Because your guy Joe Alt played last night, and I know you changed your pick last Friday when he wasn't playing to pick the Colts, but he made a big difference. Talk to me about the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to watch any Chargers game where Justin Herbert is not the quarterback being most terrorized, but that was the dynamic in this one. They talked about the Viking side of it and the lack of pass protection. With Herbert, I think the relative lack of pressure can be attributed to finding answers versus the blitz, sometimes with his legs, by the way, as you see there. And then the play-action passing attack, which, sorry, by the way, if you're taking a shot every time we say play-action on this show, you're probably drunk, but it was the story of the offense in this game. They had the highest play-action rate of the season,
Shocker.
47% of the time. The bomb to Gadsden, who is the real deal, by the way, that tight end.
Yes.
They got under center, put heavy bodies on the field, and boom, got the matchup. He went over the top. That's the Chargers' identity on offense. We saw at the beginning of the season. They want to get heavy. They want to play action off of it. And then in the second half, they ran the ball really well out of it.
Yeah, shout out to Kamani Vidal, okay? He wasn't in the highlight, but man, 117 rushing yards and a touchdown from your third string running back. All right, you guys, so much more to chat about and come on this week. Dan the Man, what does that mean for this game?
Yeah, it's Saquon Barkley in the run game. Time to step up. This is an enormous loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody knows that in crunch time and go-to moments or gotta-have-it moments, third downs, the game winner or game sealer of last week, AJ's the guy that they kind of build their pass game around. No AJ, Devontae's still plenty capable, and a player like Dallas Goedert still plenty capable. But if there was ever a week up until this point, 8 weeks into the season, that the Eagles just desperately needed to get their run game going, to have their offensive line play significantly better, to have their star tailback take over a game, it's this one. This is a massive loss for the Eagles offense.
Yeah, all week we've been talking about how the Eagles finally leaned into that under center play action passing attack last week. I would argue that this injury makes it even more important to lean into that.
Yes.
Because you don't want to just count on A.J. Brown to win on one-on-one outside the way they so often do in the passing game. And by the way, Devontae Smith was on the receiving end of two of the biggest shot plays off of play action. He is phenomenal against zone coverage. I also think, and Marcus, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this, that if that under center play action game gets going, it'll open things up in the run game because the linebackers will be more cognizant of getting beat down the field. And suddenly you see how play action pass is not only the run helping the pass can help the run, which, as Dan said, needs to be very improved in this game.
I agree with both of y'all on that point, and that is the point, MK, is to give them enough signature change at the line of scrimmage to make sure you're creating space for Saquon before the ball is snapped. The other thing is this, too, y'all. Remember this. Saquon can be used as a pass catcher. First thing that came to my mind when A.J. Brown wasn't playing was, do you get to some of the screen game? Do you create some of the sleight of hand between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley to make up potentially for some explosive plays? And we talked about this in the weeks previous. Find ways to get Saquon the ball in open space, which is one thing that I think has been missing as well, more than him just coming out of the backfield. This is an opportunity for Patullo to figure out ways to use Saquon Barkley to either dictate the way the defense is going to play everybody else or vice versa. Use everybody else to find space for Saquon. We just watched the San Francisco 49ers use Christian McCaffrey in that way to become a really prominent pass catcher in a win that they needed to have. I'm looking forward to see if Philly has any opportunity to do that with Saquon Barkley to either dictate coverage or make him a big part of the passing game as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, fella. I just don't think that's going to be who they are in such a short period of time as well. I know AJ didn't practice at all this week, but are they really going to kind of change their stripes? I just want to see with Kevin Patullo, I think your point of bringing his name up is huge. Will they move Devontae around just a little bit? I'm not saying you have to become the San Francisco 49ers or the Los Angeles Rams in that regard, but will they move him around just a little bit? I think there's two things that also I'd look for. Will they utilize Jalen's legs just a little bit more? And then will they utilize more RPOs just to get some cheap yards? I totally agree with Mina. This is the perfect time as well to go back under center, continue to create that part of your identity or whatnot, and see if you. I know Jordan Mailata talked about it this week. How much easier it is for them and their offensive linemen and the angles that they get to play with. Continue to lean on your play action because it helps lesser receivers get open. So that's the challenge. Will he do more of that, Kevin Patullo?
Dio, I agree with you on maybe not changing their stripes, but do you think there will be, and this is a question for you, do you think that having Saquon line up somewhere pre-snap wise and then move him back into an original position could change the picture and the look? Because I know if I was playing defense, it would, with a player of that caliber, us potentially not knowing where his alignment would be pre-snap most of the time.
Yeah, and I would do more of that, to your point, this week, because if you're the Giants, I think this would change your defensive plan some as well. You'd be way more willing to play a little bit more man coverage. You'd be way more willing to try and come after Jalen Hurts because man coverage and blitz, he looks to A.J. Brown. And so if you're the Eagles, just trying to gather some information defensively, specifically early in this game of how the Giants are actually going to play you in those situational football moments, trying to gather that information utilizing Saquon could be very big.
He missed 4 games last season. They went 2-2. And when you take a look at our picks, and obviously this all happened before as we have an early gong. Listen, Eagles, we all think are going to avenge their loss to the Giants from a couple of weeks ago. Mina, any thought or any of you about changing with this news? Maybe going with the Giants?
I'm not changing it. And a big part of the reason why is Jalen Carter and Quinion Mitchell playing in this game. Their absence the last time these teams played was massive. Allowed them to pick on the Chiefs' secondary cornerbacks. Jalen Carter is the most important player on the defense. So I think the defense will put up a much better fight this time around.
Everybody good? Sticking with the Eagles?
We're good.
We're all good. All right, let's move on because we have news on the Giants from Adam Schefter. The NFL